I'm going to pull in some artichokes because I want to know how many of you know what artichoke is. And let's see if I can just pull it over. I'm going to double click it. And here's the picture that I wanted you to see that is all like a whole family of artichokes. So, okay, I know it's going to do for us. It's going to be great because I want to blow that up. And then I look at my big old cursor. Do you see I made it really big? Okay, up. Look at that artichoke. Look at the colors on that artichoke. There's purple and green, and then you can add purple to your artichoke, but a good way to get a nice deep color for an artichoke is using a little bit of the red. But for that particular picture, it was showing purple, which is awesome. If you go to the store, you'll see the purple. And look at, okay, I wanted you to see, I'm kind of excited about this big old cursor. Give me a thumbs up if you can see my big old cursor. I was kind of excited to show you this. Oh gosh, come on, picture, come in front. Okay, so this little artichoke here, I don't know how many of you eat artichokes. This would be a very pretty composition for an artichoke. If you wanted to paint this, we're going to paint the whole artichoke, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to use my big old cursor. There are points on the end here that are kind of pokey. And this artichoke comes from the thistle family. And it's called a green artichoke or French artichoke. These petals, these leaves, it has a lot of enriching value to your diet, and you boil it for 45 minutes to an hour until you can poke a fork in the bottom part until it's soft. And this bottom part here is called the heart, and that's the yummy part. But to get to the heart, you've got to pull each leaf off at a time. And as you pull the leaf off, you can scrape with your teeth the little meaty part that's like right along here. And it's really nice to dip it into lemon butter with lemon in it. So good. And it opens up. And then there's this fuzzy part right here. And that is called the choke. And that's the part that if you eat it, it will kill you because it's, it's like very, very thin, fine hairs, and it will get stuck in your throat. So that's where they call it the artichoke. Okay, so I wanted to bring in this picture. I thought this was a nice, pretty one. Is that artichoke can be pretty. I thought this was kind of a nice one to look at. Look how you can see the little points on it. You can paint these little points if you want to. You don't have to, but they might be kind of nice to put on there if you at the end like that. Excuse me, that'll be stage 3. When we go through the details, first we're going to put some green on, and then we're going to put the next little detailed definition, and then we'll go fine-tune definition. So I'm going to keep this down here on the bottom right so you can see it as we're painting. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to show you my paper. I will have to draw heavy because I noticed that it's hard to see on here. Let me see if I can get some light on there. That helps a little bit. Looks like it might be helping a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So I'd like to draw it big. Don't forget to write artichoke and then write May 19, 2020. And then this is our 14th lesson. I'm really excited about that. After you paint this, you have to promise you will post it on my Art Yourself Studio. I think you have to follow the page. And if you want to be included in the free Monday classes, you should send me your email and I will add you to the email list. And also, if you're interested in Art Yourself Studio and what I do here, you can go to the website and you'll see some classes to sign up for. So, okay, here we go. I hope you have your paints ready. I hope you have them primed with your primer water. Just a little drop in each color will help make it nice and primed so that you can dip in. And we're really basically using the greens and some reds, but I always prime them all anyway, just in case I get a little crazy and decide I want to add some to it, which, I might want to add a little blue. You might want to add a little blue. Looks to me like I see some yellow in our diagram. So yeah, just prime all your colors and get ready. I do have the 2 buckets of water I'm going to show you in the picture. One's for the clean and one's for the dirty. And you've got your paper towel here on the side ready. Okay, and we're ready to go. So we're going to just lay a little base color down. And I think I'm going to use, this is a number 8. I'm going to kind of define it. You can draw it on there if you want to. I made a really light sketch. I don't know if you can see it, really light sketch. I'm going to just put the water where I want the paint to go. I'm going to do a thin layer of water. If it's moving too much for you, that might be too much water. So just put a thin layer of water on there. And then I'm going to add, I did want to tell you the colors we're using, like a sap green. And a sap green is the middle green. It's the middle green with some yellow ochre in it. And then we're going to actually use the yellow ochre. I did see the yellow in there. We're going to use some yellow ochre. And then there's going to be the medium green, which is a common green. Most people have it in their palettes. It's called medium green. So it's kind of a yellow, more yellow green. I have 2 different palettes here. So that's kind of the medium green. It's pretty. It's a nice bright green. And I don't know if you can see like the details in there. There's a lot of threading on the artichoke. That's kind of neat. I like how that is. Okay. I'm saying a lot, aren't I? Okay. Grabbing some of that really light. Let's see. The first one we're going to do is a little bit of sap green up here on the edge. And we're going to push it down in and let it just bleed and blossom. I will pull it down here over to this side. I've got 2 little leaves sticking out here, 2 little leaves here. And then I'm going to take that yellow ochre because I feel like the top part is yellow ochre, but I will blend some of the green in there, but I'm going to use that as the base. So this first layer we put down is just called the first layer, that's a little bit dark there, but it's going to be your light layer. And when that dries, you will end up putting another layer over it, and that's called transparency. This is called painting wet on wet. So I do like it if you take some time and write your notes in your paper. So just put wet on wet, and that's the first layer. The second layer, we're going to do wet on dry. And it took me a long time to remember that the first word relates to your brush and your paint, but the second word relates to your paper. So while you're waiting for it to dry, you can, I don't recommend using a hair dryer, especially if you're going to start using things like the masking fluid. It definitely burns to the paper. So I try to not get in the habit of using a hair dryer. I don't know why, it's a personal thing. I don't know. You can use one. I just dabbed it up with the paper towel. The paper towel will leave a texture if you press it good and hard, which you don't want to. I'm starting to just spread that around a little bit to help it dry a little faster. I like that we're left some of the yellow there. I do want to take a minute to draw what the next section would be, and I will draw it right over here. The next section, the next layer, we're going to try to start to define those edges. And I don't want to do it because it's still a little wet. But the way the petals go is it starts here, and it's kind of I wouldn't know how to describe that shape, but it goes up to a point and it comes round, goes up to a point and kind of comes round. And the end one here comes up and it comes down. And then it's going to keep coming around and getting fatter and fatter. I like to just sketch it out, maybe just to have it in your mind or put it somewhere else. I know we did the layer here, but the leaves, they really do cross over each other, and they make that really neat kind of half pointed pointed petal. It's like a succulent. They also have that shape. If you look at the picture, you'll see that kind of shape. And I love it. If you do not have your watercolors, don't worry. You can use colored pencil, you can use crayons. You don't have to be an adult to do this painting. You can do it. If you're a child, give it a go. If you're a kid, hopefully if you're a teenager, I'd love it. let me know. I'd love to have you. I just would love the idea for me here is the satisfaction is just exposing you to watercolor and helping you get rid of that mystery of watercolor. You can pull your stem. The stems are kind of thicker, and I don't know if you remember eating one, but the stems are really fibrous. They've got a lot of fiber in them, so they don't taste as good. I have some extra lines in here. I'm not going to paint this one, but I would like to take out those lines. And because I drew really lightly, it was good. I didn't like imprint into the paper. So that's what I'd like to recommend when you draw. Just kind of draw lightly, sketch it out a little bit. And I love that original picture because it had that purple in there. So maybe when we're finished, we're using this picture, but maybe when we're finished, if you want to look up artichokes, that would be great. I already talked about how you eat it. Does anybody else have artichokes in their house? Do you guys eat artichokes? Give me a thumbs up. Tell me if you guys like it. I think when I was a kid, I first looked at it and I thought, oh no, that's kind of gross. But it's not gross. It's yummy. I think it was because it was green. I always liked the red fruits. And I think because it was green, I thought, oh, this is going to be yucky. So it's not. Taste it. It's yummy. And I bet it's the lemon and it's the butter that you dip it in the butter with the lemon juice. How do you guys eat your artichokes? Put it in the comments. If I don't respond to you now, it's because I'm trying this Facebook Live through Zoom, and it's working as far as it's telling me it's working. Give me a thumbs up if you see it. I'm going to watch it after to hear your comments or to see your comments. So I do like an artichoke to kind of be nice and fat. Oh, I love the fat ones that you can get. I saw some at Meijer. This was always our Christmas tradition. We would have this Christmas Eve for dinner. It's always part of it. We'd have beef fondue and artichokes. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, what does it say? What kind of camera device? Oh, okay. I've got a question from a friend. Sorry. Okay, so that's kind of what this is what I'm going to try to put onto here. This is mostly dry now. So the way we would do the next step, and of course I want you to just have fun. I want you to explore. The next step is going to be, and you've got your paper towel over here to dry off your brush. The next step is going to be, it's going to be dry, like a wet brush, but on the drier paper. You can tell if your paper's really dry if you press underneath it. If you feel underneath, and if it feels cold, then it's not dry yet. You don't have to wait till it's completely dry, but we're going to use a more not so wet brush and not so wet paint. And what I'm going to start to do is I'd like to take the layers of the medium green. Let me get it going here. Layers of medium green. It should be like a little milky consistency as you're mixing it with your water. And we're going to have our drawing. We have the picture we're looking at. We're just going to kind of press what we think would be the dark side of those leaves. And I'm just hinting at it. And you can see the water's kind of bubbling up at the top. That's fine. We're going to be able to go in and do another layer with more detail as it dries. I find these like quick little 30-minute videos are these 30-minute little live things. It's hard to like wait for it to dry. When I'm doing it by myself, I usually am a little more patient and I wait a little longer for it to dry. That's kind of the key with watercolor. I think a lot of people don't have success because they don't like the watercolor because they can't really manipulate it or work on it. It's really fun when it pushes and it does some exciting things, which we will explore as we go along. But in my watercolor classes, I like to start out teaching you how to control it a little bit. I feel like if you learn how to control it, then you can go crazy and do whatever you want with it. You can make it loose and watery, and you once you know how to control it, you can be free to be loose and watery. Don't forget to add some on the stem there. And then I have two little leaves here too. I love when you can see that underlayer. Like I didn't want to cover up that yellow all the way. I might just do a little, pretend like there's a little leaf there, but I really like when you can see kind of the layers coming through. Again, we're gonna let this dry a little bit. I think what I was saying is when I'm painting, like when I'm painting the puppy portraits, there's a little puppy behind me. When I'm painting the puppy portraits, I always do like one or two at a time. I have a lot of commissions that have been coming along, so I thank you very much if you're one of the commission people. But I like to, if I have just one commission, I will find a puppy on Instagram and I'll paint him while this is drying. I can go ahead and paint on the other puppy. And it's really good practice for me to do a couple different paintings, different puppies, even if it's not commissioned. I don't paint just for commission, although I like it and I appreciate it, but I do paint because I love it. And having something else to work on gives me time for this one to dry and you go back and forth. But I'm loving the shape that our painting is getting. If you are starting to paint and you're losing your shape or you're losing the little petals, just put your brush down. Just wait, let it dry. Come back at it after it's a little bit dry. It's because it's probably too runny. I see a little glistening on there and that's good. That's fine. I love now we're going to do, that's kind of the second layer. Now the third layer is going to be a little more detailed. So I'm going to have a little more color on my brush. I'm going to use this sap green, but a little fuller strength of it. So it's a little more dry. So I can get a little bit of texture. That's a little wet up there, so I'll probably start down here. And I'm going to try to define the petals, define the leaves on this a little bit. I don't know if you notice, let me look at the cursor here. Do you see how it's dark right in there between this leaf and this leaf? And it's dark in here. And then you've got some dark in here. So this is what we're doing. We're going to define these leaves. Okay, so we're going to just take our time and just kind of define it a little bit. That one I like, it's really deep over there. It's nice to have a picture. I hope online you look up artichoke or look up what you want to paint and then just look at it. I'd like to, for me, learning how to paint and learning, especially watercolor, is really also learning how to see the subject that you're painting. A lot of people just want to paint what they see, like just go ahead and paint it. But it does take a minute, like, you know, take a minute, look at it. Look how there's a line down in this one petal. See how it's really kind of yellow on the top, but there's a line coming down. And here there's like a oval that's the light highlight color. And then there's some, you can see the lines coming down on the side. This one seems to have like a really light edge coming, and underneath the edge on the other side is a darker one. So when you start looking at your subjects, you'll start seeing shapes. And I don't know what your experience is. Again, you got to give me a thumbs up because I'll go back and look at it. Please, I'd love to know that you're here. Even if you're not live with me, that's fine. Please leave some comments for me. It really is motivating to me. I'm offering these free because I feel like I can offer you something fun to do, and maybe you'll learn a new skill, and maybe you'll join one of my watercolor classes or look online and you know, look at another class I'm teaching. But I really wanted you to just learn to paint and learn to enjoy it. A lot of times, like in art school, you have to learn how to draw first. I know it's very, very important, but I feel like if we can do these little ones and you, as you are doing them with me, you're feeling a little more confident on how we're drawing and why we're drawing. And I'm hoping that you will start to see. I think that's why art school spends so much time on the drawing, because you need to learn proportions. You need to learn about the subject that you're drawing, but it's really to show you how to see things. And I'm hoping that with these watercolors, we're on our 14th one. I wrote the number down, 14th class. I'm hoping that by now you feel pretty good about like what you're seeing, that we've talked enough about seeing. So there we go. This is drier. So now I can add a little bit. There's a nice dark shadow in here on this side. You do not have to paint exactly what you see as well on this drawing that I have. Sometimes as an artist, you can change, you can make it look a whole different way. And I love that. I love when I see that you guys have posted, because I like to see your own creativity. Maybe you guys want to do the whole bunch. I would say practice doing this first one with me and then go back and pick another picture of something different that you like, and then go ahead and give it a shot and try it on your by yourself. I love that last week we were painting. What did we paint? I don't remember. Oh yeah, we painted a red pepper, and then a friend went back and she did some more painting. She did an apple. Yesterday she did a shell. You'll see her shell on Art Yourself Studio on the Facebook page. You'll see a shell. So what she did was hopefully take some of the lesson and think about what we were doing, and then looked online. It's something that she wanted to paint, and she did a shell. And I really appreciate that Emily, I'm thinking you're here. I'm hoping so. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that you tagged me in it and you showed it to me, that I was able to see your paintings. That's such a reward to me, you guys. You have no idea how good it makes me feel when I see that you've been painting with me. Okay, it's starting to take shape. I'm kind of happy with the shape. Now I'd like to add a little bit of just a little detail. And this is called, maybe I'll get a different brush, a little smaller brush maybe. Yeah, this is a 5. I'm getting the brush wet. Whenever you're painting, you get your brush wet first and then dry it off, because the dry brush tends to absorb the paint, and we don't want it to absorb all the paint. We want it to just go to where we want it. I love it if you could get in the habit of just using the tip of your brush with oils, with acrylics, with watercolor. Sometimes some people are, beginners or kids, when you're little, you didn't think about it. You dip the whole brush into the paint. What happens is the paint gets into the base here, and not only does it ruin the brush because it then dries and makes the brush splay out like that. I always get it wet and pull it back to that point, but also because when you're painting, if you have too much paint in your brush, it just shows on your project, and it makes your project messy, and it makes your clothes messy. And there's a time for that. That's when you have your big canvas up and you've got your paints in big tubs and you're just splashing and splashing and you're painting with different brushes. It's fun to be messy. But if you want a nice result on a project like this, you don't really want your paint all the way in. You want to keep it at the end. Keep it at the end. If you need more paint, you can grab more paint. All right, so now it's more of a dry. I'll show you a little sample. See how I can get some texture there? I have to show you this. Give me a thumbs up. I think we're going close to overtime, but I just want to finish this last little bit out. But see that texture you can get with the dry on dry? So I wrote down wet on wet, wet on dry, and then we're going to write down dry on dry. So remember, this is like your little dictionary. This is going to be your resource. When you go back, you're going to look at your notes and you're going to remember, oh yeah, that's the technique we did. Okay, so here's a little dry on dry, and then I'm going to leave you alone, let you paint. Oh, I know, 2 more things. Sorry, 2 more things. Okay, dry on dry. I'm just going to try to get, if it's not moving what I want, get the brush wet again. Do it again, and just push. I want to show those. Could be a little drier. I want to show that those reeds down there, that line, I'm going to put it right into the shadow, the dark spot that I made. Now that really stands out a lot, and that's going to happen, and that's fine. If that happens, just take a little water, get it damp, take your paper towel, lift it up, and there you go. It's just a little hint of the darker green. Okay, so keep playing with that. The only other thing I would do is I would go ahead with that sappy green and go ahead and put your texture in. Texture is going to go this side. You're going to go kind of both sides of each petal leaf. And the only other thing I would recommend, well, this is obviously it's not finished. That's fine. I just want you to play a little. Do leave some of the yellow, but take your yellow ochre and let's go ahead and put those points in with the very tip of your brush. Because I don't have a lot of watery paint on my brush, I can just dip in here and I can dip right into the paint. And because by now it's pretty primed, because if you wet it when we've got started, but I can just dip in there and draw just a little line. Oop, that's a little thick, that's fine. Draw a little line at the tip of each one of these points to say that's where the tip of the artichoke is. I don't know if I said at the beginning, but when I was doing a little research, it's from the thistle family. And when I see these little points, I'm thinking, yeah, that is kind of like a thistle. All right, look at you play. I got too much on there. Just wipe it off. Just pick it up, wipe it off, play, have fun. Put a little background in if you want. Paint it again and make it a little different. Maybe paint it open. Maybe paint it, I don't know. They said that this, I read, this is the bloom of it. And I don't know if it ever produces a pretty flowery color. I really don't know. If anybody knows, please put it in the comments. I would love to know what your research and what you know about this. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep you longer, but I feel like I need to add a little like the threading down here. I want this at the bottom part. We have talked about doing round objects and where the light is. I do like it when you take your subject and you make like an arrow on it, and that arrow represents like the sun or the light is coming from there. So then this side is going to be darker. And I'm just going to rub that in, and when it dries, I will go back in and do the detail again, which is fun. It's fun. All right, I'm done. I've kept you for long enough. Thank you so much for being here. Please be sure to mark in the comments something so I can see you, and let me know if you think this program is a good program. If you're able to see me, if you're able to see the painting, wash your brushes out when they're done. And thank you for being here today.